Hey folks, welcome back to TGN Anime. My name is Globku and today we're going to be building the ultimate loadout for the heal types. We're going to focus on the Capture the Flag game mode, which is the game mode that we've tried out and we've played already. And I'm recording this before the open beta that is happening right now, so if any new information comes out of that, it will not be included in this video. Though from the sounds of it, we won't really get any new abilities, so I think we have everything we're going to have for a few months. Alright, as always, on our loadout we can equip 2 Jutsu and 1 Secret Jutsu, and we're going to look not only at the jutsu that were in the beta, we're going to look at everything that was announced so far, which includes some abilities that we've only seen in trailers and on the website. Now, in the closed beta, we had 2 heal type characters that played very differently. First up, we had Sakura, who could engage in a fight with their team, heal them while being active in participating in the actual fight, because her healing ability was an instant cast, and she also had some offensive abilities as well. On the other hand, the custom character had an ability that needed to be channeled, which required her to stay behind the fight, away from danger, because her channeling ability could be interrupted at any point. Which gave us sort of 2 different playstyles, and we're actually going to try to build a loadout for each of those styles. So you can choose how you want to play a heal type. I really do think they're effective both ways. Though which one's more effective, that's highly going to depend on the team that you have at your disposal. Alright, so let's start with the healer that hangs back and heals teammates from a distance and supports the team from a distance. On the Jutsu side of things, we have the Cherry Blossom Clash, the Cellular Extraction Jutsu, the Byakugan, the 8 Trigrams Hair Palm, Shadow Stitching Jutsu, Shadow Paralysis, and the Palm Sage Jutsu. A quick explanation of what all of these are: the Cherry Blossom Clash is Sakura's ability where she hits the ground and pretty much damages and stuns anyone that is in the area. The Cellular Extraction Jutsu is a quick heal, heals anyone that is caught in that small bubble, and it also removes debuffs from your teammates. The Byakugan allows you to see enemies through walls, and it also displays their secret technique gauges, so you're able to tell if an opponent is ready to launch their secret technique that can determine how dangerous they are in a team fight. The Air Palm is a shockwave released from your palm. The target hit will be blown away, take damage, and have their ninjutsu disabled for a certain period of time. Then we have Shikamaru with a Shadow Stitching Jutsu, which basically makes shadows into the shape of a needle, and it hits the target and just kind of deals damage. Then we have Shikamaru's signature jutsu, which is the Shadow Paralysis Jutsu, which is a technique that paralyzes the target basically. They will become disabled, and this allows you to coordinate with teammates because the target is then vulnerable to any kind of attack. And finally, the Palm Sage Jutsu was also in the closed beta. It's the one where the heal types will put their hands together and channel a healing jutsu to anyone that is within range. You will continuously heal your allies. It heals for a ton of health, but it can be interrupted at any time. A simple kunai can interrupt your jutsu, and then you have to wait for a cooldown. Alright, those are your abilities. For a healer that will stand in the distance, I think the best healing jutsu is definitely the Palm Sage Jutsu, because it does heal for a lot. It can be dangerous for you to use this in the middle of battle because anything can interrupt you, but it does heal for a lot of health if you manage to pull this off and heal for a long period of time. So we're gonna take the Palm Sage Jutsu, and since we're at a distance, there aren't a lot of abilities that we can take. First of all, the Byakugan I think needs some work. In the current state of the game, I think it's kind of useless to see opponents through walls because your lock-on ability, like every character can lock onto a target and you can lock on through walls, and that makes it a little bit useless on that side of things, but it is useful for seeing the secret jutsu gauge for your opponents, so you know how dangerous they are in a team fight. Now, is that enough to give it a slot in the ninjutsu, sacrificing another ability? For Capture the Flag, I'd say probably not. Maybe other game modes or like specific team compositions will justify its use. For this specific video, I don't think it's our best choice. We're also obviously removing the Cellular Extraction Jutsu. We already have 1 healing ability. We could use some utility on the other slot. And we're removing the Cherry Blossom Clash because this is actually an ability that works at melee range, and we're trying to stay away from battle. So in most cases, we will not be able to use this at all. So yeah, let's cut that off. Then both shadow abilities from Shikamaru, they seem to have some range, but not a lot. It seems you need to be a bit closer to your target than I would be comfortable with if I'm using the Palm Sage Jutsu. So I'm also going to scratch those off, which leaves us with the Air Palm. And I do think it complements our Palm Sage Jutsu and our playstyle very well. The Air Palm releases a shockwave, it's a ranged attack, and if you hit your target, you will disable their jutsu. So not only are you supporting your team by healing them, you're also disabling the the enemy team. And I think that makes for a perfect heal type character. So those are our 2 jutsus chosen for this loadout, both palms. Now let's look at the secret jutsu of choice. And at our disposal, we have the Mitotic Regeneration, the Gentle Step Twin Lion Fists, and the Shadow Bombs from Shikamaru. I'm not sure about the name of this one. The Japanese name is super generic, so I don't know how they will translate it. It's something like Shadow Technique. But here's a quick explanation of what all 3 do. The Mitotic Regeneration will revive anyone that is down and completely restore their health. It will also remove all status changes, so it will remove debuffs and stuff like that. Meaning, if a target is down, you will revive them. If they are not down, it will still remove debuffs. Hinata's ability, the Twin Lion Fist, will focus chakra around both arms, perform a rotating attack, finishing with a thrust, and the target that is hit with this attack will get damaged, and their secret jutsu gauge will be reset. So, this is an ability that I think works great with the Byakugan, because if you see that they have their ultimate ready or they're about to have their ultimate ready and you hit them with the secret jutsu, their bar goes back to 0. They need to start building that stuff up from scratch. And then Shikamaru's Shadow Bombs, he has these strings that come up all across the battlefield. It will restrain the enemies for a short period of time, deal damage, reduce their attack power, and at the end there will be an explosion. And for this loadout, I think there's only one obvious choice, which is the Mitotic Regeneration. You're trying to stay away from a fight, so if your teammates die, you can revive them so they can keep fighting. The Twin Lion Fists require you to be in the battle, and without the Byakugan, it's hard to know whether or not the enemies have their secret jutsu ready, so you could end up just wasting this ability if you're hitting someone who isn't even close to having their secret jutsu. And you could make an argument for Shadow Bombs, but I do think Mitotic Regeneration will give your teammates a lot more support. Basically, your enemies will have to burn through 2 bars of health, and that is while you are in the back trying to heal them, trying to keep them up. It will be very hard for an enemy to kill your team unless they are focusing you, the healer. And then of course it's your team's job to protect you. I mean, you can use movement, you can try to get out of the way, but you don't have a lot here that will protect you if they decide to focus. You're trusting your team to stay in the front lines and prevent any enemies from getting past them. And that's one of the loadouts I wanted to bring to you today. Next, let's talk about a heal type that will go into battle, a battle healer. Someone who isn't afraid to go in a 2v2 or 3v3, or even if they're outnumbered, they'll be able to defend themselves as well as support their team. For this one, you need the Cellular Extraction Jutsu because it's a very quick heal. It doesn't heal as much as the Palm Sage Jutsu, but also you do not need to charge it. You're not channeling an ability, this cannot be interrupted. It's a quick heal to your allies. And the range is also shorter than the Palm Sage Jutsu, but you're in the middle of a battle. You're right next to your teammates most of the times, so you probably won't have any problems using this. We're quickly going to throw the Byakugan out of the window because of what we talked about. This ability needs some work, it's not too useful in this game mode. And we're also going to remove the Air Palm because it's a ranged ability. It's not what you're looking for when you are in the middle of a battle. There are better options. Cherry Blossom Clash was good for this type of loadout, but I do think we have better choices here as well. And those choices come from Shikamaru. Now, if you have a coordinated team, Shadow Paralysis Jutsu might be the best. The Shadow Stitching Jutsu seems to form shadows into a shape of a needle and damage the opponent, but because this is an heal type ability, I don't think it will deal too much damage. It will be better if you are able to paralyze your opponent and then have an attack type or a range type deal the damage. And as a heal type, you should not be soloing anyway, so I'm gonna go with Shadow Paralysis Jutsu because I do think you need to coordinate with your team when you're a heal type. And then for Secret Jutsu, the Mitotic Regeneration is still an option for sure, but I would personally use the Twin Lion Fists. Now, you don't have the Byakugan, you cannot see the secret jutsu gauge for your enemies. You don't know if they're about to be able to unleash their ultimate or if they're still building on it. But in this case, it's not really that important. You're in the middle of a battle and this ability will damage the enemies. It's a rotating attack that ends with a thrust. And as a bonus, you reset the secret jutsu gauge for your opponents. Now, feel free to take Mitotic Regeneration because your healing ability with Cellular Extraction Jutsu isn't as strong as the Palm Sage Jutsu, so you might need to revive your allies a lot more often. But I also think this loadout focuses a little bit on preventing your teammates from dying by using the Shadow Paralysis Jutsu and by removing debuffs with a Cellular Extraction Jutsu. So with that frame of mind, the Twin Lion Fist would be my choice, but if you go into a match and your teammates are dying all the time, maybe take Mitotic Regeneration. And that's the ultimate Heal Type Jutsu. Last time around we talked about the ultimate Defense Type Jutsu, and I asked in the comments if you had any ideas for a defense type. My favorite comment was from Tarun Sethi, who said that, hey, it's too soon to decide because the 2 abilities in the beta were broken, and as my personal side note, there also hasn't been a lot of abilities announced outside of the ones in the beta. Though in the previous video I did make a case for the spiky human boulder not being as powerful as it was in the beta because people are learning how to dodge it. However, Tarun Sethi makes a good case for using it still, even if the opponents are dodging it. It can be good for protecting the flag and protecting your teammates, even if you're not using as an ability to attack. So his loadout is pretty much the same as the beta, which I guess isn't very creative, but he gives a good explanation as to why he did that. Thank you for your comment. If you have any ideas for the heal types using the abilities that we talked about, let me know in the comments down below. This is the last video in the series, but I will be posting my favorite comments on Twitter. Follow me at Globku. My favorite loadout will be highlighted there, and I look forward to reading your comments. If you missed the ultimate defense type loadout video, you can check it out right here. If you're in the mood for something else, there's also the video at the bottom, but as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.